Okay, this is my balloon payment part 2. I didn't want to rush myself. I was getting a little nervous. Okay. And I want to talk to you about the CCR, the carrying charge rate. Because there's a kind of nice study by Lazard on batteries. And I want to study batteries versus diesel. And when I study batteries versus diesel, it's really a question of the price, the fuel price of diesel power versus the capital cost of a battery. Now, the capital cost of a battery can be high, and the carrying charge rate is a big factor. So it's really almost a carrying charge rate and the cost of the battery versus the diesel price. And we want to make a very flexible analysis of all these batteries and talk about Elon Musk, who took away all your money with PayPal, but we love him, I guess. I don't. He's so great, great. I hate that word. But, okay, enough rambling. Now, so we're going to compute this carrying charge rate. Okay, and we're going to do just a little bit more of an analysis with the balloon payments, because I am going to make a little goal seek and see what's our carrying charge rate in a base case. And then if we have an aggressive financing case, it says none. Let's see if it just screws up. It worked. And what happens if we cut the ROE? Let's cut the ROE to only 6%. Let's be crazy. I don't think it's that crazy. And then we get a 4.72% carrying charge rate. If we put in and let's even put a no cash sweep, okay? That probably doesn't make any difference. 4.68. If we get crazy, that's not really fair, but it's not going to happen. But maybe I'll put a 20% carrying charge rate. A balloon payment, 4.58. Didn't affect it that much. If I put a 0 balloon payment, then my carrying charge rate that I apply to these batteries goes up to 4.88%. And if I put a base case, then it's 5.72. And if I put in a conservative case, then the carrying charge gets to 6.54. It's not enormous difference. And then if I say, no, we need a higher ROE, then we get to 8.46. Then it's starting to be really a big difference. And again, if I put in that balloon payment in that conservative case, and I do a little goal seek, then it doesn't make that much difference, but it made a little bit. Okay, enough. Now, first let's talk about, and the other thing I'm going to talk about in this video, I'm sorry to confuse things perhaps, I'm going to also talk about because this carrying charge rate is just about finished, I'm going to talk about the circular reference very quickly, hopefully, on how to do it in a nice, straightforward way. I'm trying to make it better and better, easier and easier and easier, because there's no copy-paste macro for the balloon payment circular reference right now. All right. Now, so here's how the carrying charge rate works. What we do is we just I put in oh my God, this is 3. This decreasing is not carrying charge rate, it's the increasing is a CCR. And I say, well, here, if we're going to take a carrying charge, I'm going to figure out of 109, that's my EBITDA that I need to recover. And I compare that EBITDA to the project cost, the CapEx right here. That's what I do. And you divide it, and you get the carrying charge rate. Now you could, and I inflated it, so it's the real carrying charge rate. That's why they look a little low, but that's the right number you should be using. You want to compare real cost. You don't want to mix up this LCOE. Is so screwed up because it's all nominal versus real. You want the carrying charge rate, I think, should be the real carrying charge rate. I used to testify on this stuff, as if you care. If we put up here I'm going to switch it to the base case. And if I put an inflation rate of 0, I should be pressing Shift alternate C, and I like the number 1. We're going to color it with the number 1. Okay? That's our new generic macros to make the colors fast. I hope you look at it. You can look and you can get the macro. No secrets here. No private passwords or any crap like that. Okay? And then we put this carrying charge rate. With 0% inflation, I get a 2%. That's like a nominal carrying charge rate. That doesn't make a sense. If I put an inflation rate, I can give you a lower price at first, and that lower price or lower EBITDA at first, that's the definition of the carrying charge. This divided by the project cost. How much do you have to recover year by year? So if we put a 0% up here, and click on the carrying charge, I'm going to, I think I'm running out of, no, I'm going to talk about the circular reference, fine. Then our amount is fixed. And the idea, again, is to put all of these structuring variables, put all the IRRs in, and instead of just accepting somebody else's carrying charge rate, think about it a lot yourself. Don't just accept the Lazard study. I'm not criticizing that. It's had a lot of information, but do it yourself. I'm getting almost tired. Now, if you press alternate F8, let me just finish this discussion by going to the, and I'm going to go to this workbook, and then I'm going to go to the one that says functions, I hope. Or it has an IDC function. That's where we resolved the circular reference associated with the IDC and the EBL. And I assume I put it here because I can't find it. And then I put this interpolate lookup function in, and there's more interpolate lookup function, and a lookup, and a long lookup. Example of a show formula, and I'm embarrassed to say I've got to stop the video, and okay, I apologize a little bit for that. Not too much, because that's a pain. And here's why I put in something called read array. I've shown you this in one other video, and I'll probably show it again. What I try to do is, I'm going to go to the disk, okay? This is my testimony I'm working on. Ooh. I care. I hope you care about streetlight rates and streetlight rates. That's a big issue for me. And where am I going? Okay, we go to our courses, and here's our thing. And I go to chapter 1, and I'm not sure where I put this on the disk yet. I better put this in the circular reference little picture. And then I go to function library, and I try to keep some library of functions that are useful. And the one I've tried to really work on is this thing called read array. And this read array function tries to say, okay, whenever you read a function, I don't want to speak a little bit better. Now, I don't want to just go like this. I'm almost always going to have to make a loop over a certain period, and the loop is going to be over the true and false. So when I say read array, it's going to read an array and only loop from 1 to 3 in this case. If I put 20, then the loop is going to give us how to go from 1 to 20. It's easy to program, but it's a pain to do that each time, and you have to do it almost all the time. So in this read array, I just put this in, and then I said, I want to read in, and I want to add up all the EBITDA over the 20 periods. Okay, and what you do, standard kind of thing, Alt F8, you press Edit, Control A, Control C, and then go to your sheet, Alt F8 again, oops, that was Alt F9, Alt F8, type some little test function here, that's what I typed here, okay, and then you copy it, okay, and the last time I did that, I obviously did it with the lookup, obviously. Why would that be obvious? The lookup interpolate. Okay, now I'm going to go to this read array once I've read it in, and then it's got all this stuff where you read in a time switch, and I read in the EBITDA. And then it gives you the key thing, it gives you the beginning column, the start column, and the end column. Now once you have the start column and the end column, you make a little iteration loop. I even left that in the read array. What I should have done is done a fancy thing to get out of this when the key variable we're looking at, which is the balloon payment. And here's what you do. You start at the end. The balloon payment is the output of this whole thing. The balloon payment is up here. I also computed the sculpted debt, so I made an array function. To make an array function, you put as variant at the end. And you have to have some kind of dimension with variables. This demonstrates how to make an array function, and it is rows. Now I should have put that in the read array instead, you know. And, well, it's one row along columns. Or whatever, I'll do that later. Now, you go, you start at the end. The balloon payment is that balloon payment percent. So it's that 15% divided by 1 minus 15%, and you multiply that by sculpted debt. And the sculpted debt is the PV of the debt service. So those are formulas we had in the Excel. And then you go backwards. The PV of the debt service, and this is the problem. You almost always have an array. You have this thing here, this for loop. You have to have a loop. Sorry. You have to loop around it. Not so bad. And you have to understand what you're reading as an array variable versus a scalar single variable. And the PV of the debt service is the last time PV of the debt service divided by plus the debt service divided by the interest rate index. That's our standard thing we do to figure out the sculpted debt. And then you need the interest rate index. So the interest rate index just increments by 1, and it's so important to be able to just start at the right column. So you start at the start column and end at the end column, and you don't have to do anything fancy. All you have to do is start the interest rate index at 1 and then increment it. And then you say, well, okay, as long as the DSCR is greater than 0, debt service is EBITDA divided by DSCR. And remember, we had to take away the balloon interest. Remember, that was part of our last video. That was the formula. And then we say, well, the balloon interest is the balloon payment times the interest rate, and that balloon payment is down here at the bottom, and we couldn't get that until we go around and around. And then the final thing we have to understand is which ones are cumulative and which ones are not. The big one is the PV of the debt service. We got to reset that to 0 at each iteration, and then you just go around and around and around the iterations. Should have made it fancier. I'm lazy. I just go around 10. And that doesn't take that long. It does not. It's not so bad. If you set it up, and get all those stupid little, true falses right and all that, and that should be part of any model anyway. So that's the circular reference, and that's how you can do all of this balloon payment and also the carrying charge rate, which is such a really interesting kind of an issue. Okay, and I didn't put the carrying charge rate over here. I should have put it in a table. We can see how the carrying charge rate varies. But I think I've done enough in this video, don't you? Okay, au revoir.